Thank you guys for that brief moment letting me live out one of my childhood fantasies, filming basically an 80s metal video here in the abandoned building. So speaking of the building, I built this guitar back in February before I had the building and before all the COVID craziness here in the US. So quick backstory on this build. Last year, I built this Ibanez JEM replica and swirl dipped it. The JEM was Steve Vai's signature guitar. Like the man himself, it is quite a simple and understated design. So this January, on the 35th anniversary of the JEM, Ibanez announced its first ever successor.
And it's called the PIA.
Gotta ask, do you chuckle a little bit every time someone says PIA? No disrespect meant to the PIA because I like a lot of the features on it, but there are also some features that I like better on the old JEM. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of build a mashup guitar, a hybrid of the JEM and the PIA with the features that I like the most, then hydrodip it because, well, yeah, I wanted another excuse to do a hydrodip guitar. So enough talk, let's dive right into the hydrodipping and do some tests to try to get the color scheme exactly right before we dip the guitar. So with hydrodipping, you can get entirely different results depending on the base primer color that you use. What I mean is that if you have the same color of paint in your dip, it can look entirely different with different primer colors on the object. So I need to figure out for the Passion and Warfare guitar whether to use black or white. So all I've done here is use 2 glass bottles, prime them with black and white, and I'm going to do some quick tests with the colors I want to use, see how they look. Like both of these, but when I dipped the white one, I had 2 puddles of paint that I then mixed together, and there was some separation between those puddles, which left blank spots in the surface so that the white primer showed through. This one, I just made 1 big puddle first, then dropped the rest of the paint on top of that. That didn't leave me any blank spots and came out really nice. So I think that's the way we really want to go for the main body. So 1 big puddle to start, white primer. Cross your fingers, comes out how we want. Now because I didn't want to plunk down 3,500 USD on a PIA, the first thing we'll need to do is actually build a PIA style body. And last time I built a guitar, I got a lot of comments asking why I used a jigsaw and templates when I have an X-Carve sitting right there in my shop. In answer to that, you definitely can use a CNC, and that's what you've been watching me do right here. But as you'll see soon, it isn't necessarily easier, just different. By the way, if you watched my JEM build video, you'll notice quite a few similarities between the shape and features of the 1980s JEM and the 2020 PIA. But don't hit that fast forward button yet. I decided to keep things interesting by changing up most of the processes this time around. Because the CNC couldn't go all the way through this thick piece of wood, I've got to come back now with my jigsaw and trim away the side material as close as I can to the body. I then took the body over to my Rockler ProLift router table to flush up the lower half with the upper half that was cut on the CNC. With the sides flushed up, I took the body over to the drill press to hog out the bulk of the material from the grip cutouts and the Floyd Rose tremolo cavity. If you're wondering why I didn't just flip the body over and cut out the rest of the holes from the back using the CNC, you could, in theory, do this, but in practice, it's difficult to get the body lined up and registered to the same spot on the CNC so that the cutout from the back would line up perfectly with the portion you've already cut out from the front. So I think it's easier just to finish making these holes and cutting the body out using traditional woodworking tools. I've hogged out the majority of the wood over with the drill press, and now I'm just going to use these MTF templates, which are the same as the ones I used in my JEM guitar build, to finish routing out all the back cutouts on the body. With the back cavities routed, I took the body back to the drill press to drill out the hole for the recessed 1/4-inch output jack. Personally, I think this recessed output jack hole, which is standard on both the JEM and the PIA, is a pretty cool feature. I then drilled the holes for the volume and tone knobs and cut a slot for the pickup selector switch. I then turned my attention to the curvy parts of the body. This time I decided to change it up by power carving the curves. I started by using a cutsol disc on my angle grinder to remove the bulk of the material but stay inside of the lines I've drawn. And if you're intimidated about building a guitar and you're concerned about the power carving or shaping the body, this was just my second time power carving and the cutsol disc made it super easy to pick up. After removing the bulk of the material with the cutsol disc, I used 80 grit sandpaper to remove the rest of the material up to the lines I'd drawn. It's time to carve out a signature feature from the JEM that I'm really glad that they kept in the PIA, and that's the lion's claw scooped out tremolo cutaway. And I've got a little 3D printed template I made here, which I can use to trace the shape of the cutout onto the guitar so I can scoop it out with a ball gouge. I guess I must really love this town because I'm out in the cold and the snow, because this filler primer is just disgusting stuff and you can't really spray it indoors or your shop's done for days. And of course you got to take it inside too after you spray because it won't dry in this cold weather. This city slicker is going to go on a road trip to get a proper stock tank for dipping the guitar. So I guess I've never really shared the innards of Dexter's workshop down here, and since I'm moving soon, this might be the last project down here. So a little nostalgia for it. So let me explain real quick why I need the stock tank. Last time I used a big Rubbermaid bin
that was deep enough to fit the whole guitar, but the surface area didn't have enough paint to really cover it properly. And I also tried a big storage bin that had a lot more surface area, but wasn't really deep enough. And so what I really need is a stock tank that is 2 foot deep so you can dunk the whole guitar, and then like 3 or 4 feet wide so I can get enough paint on the surface to cover the whole thing. And for that, I gotta go out to a farm and fleet, which they definitely don't have in the city here in Chicago.
Why do I kind of want a tractor even though there's absolutely zero use for one? I don't know. I mean, look at these things. I kind of want that. Okay, you don't see this at Home Depot here. They're pretty darn cute.
The next day.
At this point, there's still one other feature of the PIA that I want to incorporate in this body, and I'll just let Steve explain it to you.
Can I show you something really cool? Magnets. What is this where you have to have all these little screws?
Screw you! Hey, screw you!
I'm guessing that the original backplate is made of steel or some sort of ferrous metal, but since I wanted to cut out the backplate on the CNC, I ordered some anodized aluminum sheet. On its own, this anodized aluminum sheet is pretty flimsy, but I beefed it up by super gluing it to some 1/8 inch acrylic. Before cutting out the backplate on the X-Carve, I'd carefully drilled some holes so I could flush mount some washers in the acrylic. The washers are ferrous, so unlike aluminum, they'll be attracted to the magnets that I recess in the guitar body. I've got everything assembled now, and I'm pretty happy how this hydrodip came out. Now, the looks quite a bit different than the Passion and Warfare album cover, mainly because the area where I dipped it didn't have a lot of black and had more yellow. But I still really like how it looks, so I'm rolling with it. One thing I'm not quite as happy about is the black pickups from the RG450 donor guitar I used for this project. But I think I've got a solution. I'm gonna 3D print some neon green pickup covers that should match the whole color scheme really well. There was some gunk here on my printer head, so I'll need to clean my printer head and reprint, but otherwise, I think this is gonna be pretty cool. It would be easier to do this without strings now, wouldn't it? There we go. Fits like a glove. All right, I like this quite a bit better. Plus, under black lights, they glow.
I couldn't take my eyes off it.
My buddy Trey is behind me. He is a much better guitar player than I am, and he's gonna show you how this thing sounds, do a little sound test. Take it away, Trey. I'll be back next time with more renovation videos. Make sure to check out those other guitar videos I got. Thanks to Trey for helping me out here. He's got a band called Lions. They got a new video out. There's a link in the description below, so hit that up too. That's it for this time, and I'll see you next time. There we go.